As always, appreciate you guys listening. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us on Apple and Spotify podcasts, and also rate us on Spotify and Apple podcasts.
If I get an email about you acting up in class, because as you know, at all schools, your athletes are your leaders. You know, if you can't go and be a good student, which is your job, right? How am I going to expect for you to come out here and ball out?
Yeah,
you know,
trust you on the field.
I can't trust you. You know, so our biggest thing is take care of the classroom.
All right, welcome back to episode 58 here of the Bullpen. Pretty big week here as we have the Joliet Pitcher ID on Wednesday. This weekend we have the preseason all-state upper class and underclass events, so those should be pretty good events. And then we are wrapping up our preseason with the Joliet Preseason ID on Sunday at Rhino Sports Academy there in Shorewood. So big week ahead. We'll see a lot of players. How you guys doing?
Good, Gav. No, like you said, it's a big week here. I'm really looking forward to Wednesday, the pitcher ID. Like, I know we got a couple big time arms already coming to that, so curious to see what else like pops from that event. But yeah, I mean, all state's always a blast, and just the level of talent we see, it's like almost our state games for the winter in a sense. Just the amount of talent we see from all over the state, it should be awesome.
Yeah, it's the first time we're doing an event like Wednesday where it's a pitcher-only event, so I'm excited to see how that goes. It'll be, less stressful. Personally, I'm excited for that, just not having to worry about a ton of dynamics with the event. But no, like All-State, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be one of the bigger events we've ever ran for All-State. 2 events, takes all day at the max. A lot of names coming through, especially this weekend that I saw sign up that I'm really excited about. And then, yeah, capping it off with Joliet, going to Chicken and Spice after. It's always a great way to kind of end the winter circuit. But no, it'll be a good week for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Gav, like, don't sell that all-state short. It should be awesome. And credit to the guys that have signed up, gotten on our radar. Like we let committed guys come as well at a steeply discounted rate. So it truly is our goal to bring the best of the best to one spot on one day, and let them show out, show the improvements they've made throughout the winter. And I love it too because like I felt like later into the winter, we, at least personally, we've been strict, and it's hard to say no to some guys, but we wanted to allow some of the standouts from the winter preseason IDs a chance to get into the All-State if they wanted to, like guys that showed really well at some of these events, and that's happened. A ton of guys have earned invites, and I think that's kind of what makes me most excited was the preseason IDs have been as talented as I can remember. Like going through these, talking with, you guys about all the standouts at all these events. There are guys coming out of the woodworks, and that's what it's all about. But then also, I think that'll speak to just how good the preseason All-State will be. Especially you look at the names in the underclass, these 28s, 29s, kind of like the next up in the state. Guys will have a chance to, push for varsity spots on really, really good high school teams. I cannot wait to see kind of what comes out of this weekend and Saturday especially. It is a long day, like you mentioned, Pete, but those days are always made really, really great when the talent, keeps you kind of on your toes all day long, seeing good swings, seeing good actions. I mean, the middle of the day is just going to be packed with bullpens, and I can't wait to just see the arms that are going one after another. So, yeah, kind of our last hurrah here before we then turn our attention to, obviously cleaning up a lot of the winter stuff, but getting into that preseason high school. And hopefully, that also means the weather will turn here. We kind of got teased last week with some nice weather, and it's back to flurries in the morning and, wind chills in the single digits up here where I'm at. But, yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, I don't know about you. I was in 78 and sunny this past weekend in Florida, but no, I think I'm more excited about underclass, if that's even possible, than upper class. Just like because I love the future games so much, just getting the list of names that we're gonna go follow, and it just starts to feel like spring. We're starting to kind of, get our sheet that we're gonna send out to get the guys that we want to send the sheet to when they're throwing. Like, and just like the 29 group as well. I know that's a year away from future games, but just coming off the electric like junior future games that we had with them, like I'm excited to see a lot of those guys and the strides that they made. So yeah, it's gonna be a long day, but it's totally worth it. I mean, we could watch baseball all day long, especially good baseball.
Well, and I don't know how you guys feel, but last year got me really, really pumped about the senior future games. When you have guys like Jace Matazinski come down there and do what he did, like on this team, what were we at? Team Heartland. It's
Yeah.
Illinois and Wisconsin
Hmm.
combined, and Jace is from Wisconsin, and like put himself. He ended up, committing shortly after the event. Um, just kind of burst up some draft boards, but then you have a guy like Anthony Chavez, goes to that, really gets seen by Illinois, comes to the pro case, earns his way to the Super 60, and then that's not even meant like Sam Finn, Plainfield North left-handed arm. We get him down there. He commits to Kentucky. He's on some draft boards as well. So like there are other guys that also showed out at that event, earned Division 1 scholarships, earned just college offers and scholarships, whether it was Division 1 or the right fit for them. And man, I feel like that event took off this year and it's only going to get better. And then you mentioned these 29s, like the Super Sophomore Games, I think is a really, really cool event that's kind of taken off in the last handful, 3 years. This upcoming year, I may be breaking it to you guys, but it'll be down at Indiana, which is where it was a couple years ago. So we'll be back at Indiana. It'll be some Midwest states. Wisconsin's going to bring a team this year. So no, there's a lot. Like you mentioned, Pete, this is our entire winter. Whether we see these guys at the All State or we see a 2029 in Peoria or Lockport, like it all goes into the same bucket, the same window. They get on our follow list, they get on our ranking sheet, they get on our invite list for the Illinois State games, and our follow list for all these future game events, junior future games, and obviously the Super Sophomore games. So I know that's long winded, but there's kind of like intrigue at every class, which I love.
And we had week 2 of the college baseball season last weekend. For me, just a quick standout that I saw: ISU, Illinois State went 3-1 on the weekend, or I guess on the week. They played SIUE. I believe it was Wednesday night. They're 5-2 overall, but some Illinois guys. Henry Brummel threw 2 innings in relief against Miami of Ohio, struck out 2, didn't allow a walk, run, or hit. And then Michael Adari earned a win against UMass on Friday. He threw in a relief, had 4 innings, struck out 5, walked 1, no runs allowed, and 3 hits allowed. So a couple arms there from Illinois for the Redbirds performing.
Yeah, and then how about AJ Putty just absolutely going off yesterday? I know we record on Monday, but we talked about him last week, and then talking again about him this week. In a huge win, upset win over number 6 Coastal Carolina at their place. Putty had 5 hits, 3 doubles, 1 grand slam, 7 RBI. So not bad for the freshman out of Huntley. It's pretty absurd, especially against that level of competition. So shout out again to AJ.
Yeah, I was following that. Really cool to see him. He looks like he's added some good weight onto that frame as well. I'm going to jump in with not an Illinois team, but Illinois players really quick. I was on the couch yesterday, kind of just dozing off, and I was watching Michigan State versus Texas, and I heard the name Brady Chambers pop on the TV. A Lions Township grad a couple years ago. He was one of the more bright spots from that day out of the bullpen for them. And then also, Dade Murphy was in the game and had a hit. One of the few guys that got a hit. And then CJ DeKinga got his first collegiate hit. So just wanted to shout that out. Good for CJ. Many more to come. And then good for Dade Murphy. I mean, that was one of Drew's favorite all-time infielders from the future games. And then, Brady. A good appearance out of the pen for him.
Yeah, Dayton's just he's a baseball player, man. I love that. Does a lot on the baseball field, whether it's defend, take quality at bats, can really run the bases. I'm gonna go with a couple Illinois guys. I think we mentioned them briefly last week, or I did, but yeah, the Troy Trojans down in Alabama, they play in the Sun Belt. But Jimmy Janicki, he was a former future gamer, Downers Grove North, Super 60 guy. Started off the year hot. He's hitting 417 with 2 doubles, 2 jacks, 12 RBIs, leading their team. Former future gamer, and then we've got another former future gamer. This guy was, I think, Pete, like probably on the future games before you started. Tommy Egan from Mount Carmel.
Yeah.
Could always really spin it. Was good for Mount Carmel out of high school. Like I mentioned, future gamer. But he's taking the ball on Friday nights for Troy. In 2 starts, he's thrown 10 innings. He's only given up 4 hits. He's struck out 15. And he's pitching to a 1.80 ERA right now. So just 2 guys that are kind of leading the way for that team down there. And I know there's Illinois guys all over the place. Brendan Stressler, one of my favorite left-handed bats, has been swinging it well for Michigan. Keeping an eye on him. The Bakes boys down there at Illinois State. Like, Illinois State's got Camden Karchewski playing shortstop. You got Daniel Contreras starting at catcher for Illinois, seemingly having a really good start to the year. I mean, Illinois, I love it. They're full of, Illinois and Illinois State. Just large chunks of their roster with Illinois talent. So those are obviously 2 teams we're going to, consistently keep an eye on and check in on those players.
Yeah, and another guy from Northern Illinois I wanted to touch on, freshman Wyatt Warrow. He went 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a walk in their win over Wolford. And then James Love at Eastern Illinois went 3 for 4 with a homer, a triple, and 2 RBIs in a loss on Saturday. But some more Illinois guys there showing up.
That fires me up, Gav. You bringing up Wyatt Warrow, getting to play at a young age. Like, talk about Dayton Murphy being one of my favorite infields. Like, Wyatt Warrow is a fan favorite of mine. Another future gamer, but undersized and can really play the game. Like, really handles the barrel. Was one of the true, like, best bat to ball guys in the state. Homered at the future games. Does a little bit of everything, can run the bases. He's just like that guy you love having on your team. Probably hate playing against him because he's going to take the extra base. He's going to, foul off a million pitches. He's going to barrel up everything. He doesn't matter, it doesn't matter if it's 98 or 78. He's going to give you a good at bat, and that's awesome to see that he's impacting NIU over there.
Yeah, and then one school I want to also shout out is Northwestern. Saw they had a 4-0 week, 2 wins over Boston College and 2 wins over Cornell, so taking down some fellow high academic institutions last week. But they have a big series I saw this weekend with Georgia Tech at their place, so that should be a good measuring stick series for Northwestern. Obviously, Georgia Tech's one of the best teams in the entire country right now, so looking forward to seeing how Coach Greenspan's group does.
I just I want to get into a couple other college names here, and there's so many more that I see as I'm scrolling, checking D1 scores, and just seeing who's performing over the weekend. So I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but a school that's stuck out to me with having a few Illinois arms worth a mention is Central Florida, UCF. 2 guys from Normal University. We've got, I want to make sure I have their grad years right, but Evan Jones was a 2022 grad, and then you got Matt Sauser, a 2023 grad. Evan Jones spent some time at Western Kentucky. Now he's down at Central Florida. I think he's pitching out of the back end of their bullpen because he's got 3 appearances so far, and he's thrown 3 2/3 innings. In those 3 2/3 innings, he has not given up a run. He struck out 7. He's given up 1 hit, no walks. Pretty dominant. Pitching to a 0 ERA right now. Another guy pitching to a 0 ERA is Matt Sauser. He got a midweek start, I believe. Went 6 innings, no hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. So, pretty darn close to a perfect game there for him, or a perfect outing, I should say. And then we got Braden Smith. He was a 2023 grad from Byron. We just had Andrew Talbert at the future games from Byron. Like, there's been no shortage of good players coming out of there, but he was originally a Maryville commit out of high school, has seen his velo just steadily climb. Now he's at UCF, starting on weekends for them. And he caught my eye. I think on X I saw something on him, but in 2 starts, he's pitching to a 1.54 ERA, 11 2/3 innings pitched. He's walked 1 guy, given up 2 earned runs, and struck out 9. So UCF getting into Illinois, especially kind of central and rural Illinois, is cool to see those guys performing down there for them.
Tyler, I'm assuming this was your note with the MLB-related news, but if it was someone else, whoever it was, feel free. Just get in there. It's awesome nugget there.
It was me. I sent it in our group chat, and I know the tweet absolutely fired Drew up outside of, maybe who this was against, but yeah, Sam Antonacci just absolutely demolishing a baseball against the Cubs. I want to say that was last Friday. It was like the first spring training game of the year. But another note on Antonacci, I don't think we've mentioned it yet on here, but he's set to represent Team Italy in the World Baseball Classic, which starts next week. So I think that's really cool. He's obviously a top prospect in the White Sox system, and I think it'll be really cool just to kind of see how he does on that national stage. I want to say Italy might be in America's pool for that. I don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but I think just seeing an Illinois talent like that on a huge national stage such as the World Baseball Classic next week is going to be a lot of fun.
That swing was such a pretty swing. Like, that's what fired me up. I could care less who it's against, especially if we're talking spring training. But man, Antonacci, another former future gamer, and just like one of my favorite guys. Anybody that knows him knows like he's kind of keeps to himself. He's Mr. Even Keel, like rarely shows emotion, just goes about his business, plays the game the right way. Comes from a baseball family, and love to see what he's doing at the next level. Like, it just keeps going up and up and up for Sam. So cannot wait to hear, hopefully in the near future his name get called up for a big league appearance or whatever it may be, and definitely will have to try to get out to a game and check out Sam if and when that happens.
So last week, if you listened, we talked about McHenry Rising Stars, McHenry Preseason ID, and the Lake Zurich Preseason ID. On Monday, we had the Lockport Preseason ID and Chicago Preseason ID. Then on Wednesday, we had the Peoria Preseason ID. We have not talked about those three events yet. So today, we're going to be talking about those three events ahead of this weekend's events that we have. So I think we're going to start with Monday's Lockport Preseason ID. And Tyler, I see you've got your top overall prospect. What do you got there?
Yeah. So again, similar to O'Hare, I saw basically every infielder came across my field, hit, did defense, and one name kind of just stood out among the rest when I was going back looking over all my notes, and that was Alec Gilson, an uncommitted 2027 out of Marmion Academy. He's 6'1", 173. The frame looks right. Looks like a guy who can continue to add strength as he continues to mature. But ran a 6'8", 560. And then offensively, right-handed hitter. Just kind of loved how athletic the swing looked. With easy jump off the barrel. He averaged 90.6 off the bat and topped out at 100.3. A guy that, and I know this kind of been like a buzzword for me this winter, I feel like, but a guy who wasn't selling out. Like, I know I've said that a lot the last couple of weeks, but that's the type of stuff that just kind of jumps out to me, are these guys that don't have to, be super aggressive to reach, exit velocities. And that wasn't Alec. So kudos to him. And then defensively, like, again, athletic. Seemed pretty fluid, like a kid who can definitely stick up the middle at the next level. And he was up to 83 across the infield. But another guy who's like, not crow hopping in the infield or anything. It's nice and easy, and just a guy that, curious to see how he does this spring after we saw him this winter.
Yeah, and then mine, Tyler, was right-handed pitcher Gavin Shimizu, 2028 from Yorkville. If I botched that name, I apologize. But it was just a really polished pen. I really like the mover. It's athletic. He was 6'1", 183 pounds. Quick arm. His fastball was 85 to 87. Through a curveball and a slider. His curveball was more 11-5 shape or 12-6 shape, and then his slider was more like 11-5, maybe a little more horizontal. But they both averaged like 2,500 plus RPM. His changeup had some fade to it, but just with like his current polish, the frame, the way that he moves, everything about it, like it seems like a guy that has a ton of upside for a 2028. And we'll just keep seeing how he progresses here, and he's one that I'm going to keep an eye on moving forward.
I can hop right into the next topic. If I don't know if anybody else has a top overall prospect, feel free to cut me off. But the next route I wanted to go is just best defender I saw in the infield. And at this event, that was infielder Colton Carley, another uncommitted 2027, this time out of Providence Catholic, and for me, it was just how comfortable he was with his hands. It was confident hands. Like, to me, like, and I'd be curious Drew's thoughts on this, because one, he played the position in college, and then also he coached it at a high level. But when I see a guy, this up the middle ball we do at our showcases, I feel like you can tell a lot about how confident a kid is in their hands with how they approach that ball up the middle. Like the guys that kind of just field it like with one hand in stride, like it's nothing. Like to me, it's like, okay, like that kid's confident. Like he trusts himself to make any play on the field, basically. And that's exactly if like we show that video in this, Gavin. I don't know if I'm teeing you up on the production side of this, but like his ball he fields up the middle, to me it was like, okay, wow, like this kid knows what he's doing. And then he was up to 86 across the infield as well, and to me that was really impressive due to his stature. So just a guy that I was very impressed with defensively.
To get to your point, Tyler, like I could probably take this and talk about it for hours, but like we do our specific ground ball routine like for a reason, right? Like I think everything kind of shows you a little bit different stuff, whether it's the ball up the middle to see how they play on the move. A lot of times too, it's like the feel in the arm. Like that ball up the middle is not the time to like take that ball and crow hop 12 times and throw it over the top where you're, 90 feet from first and you're kind of handcuffing them. Like it's like, show us your feel, show that you can, maybe throw from multiple platforms, have a quick release, and then we take that right into the double play ball. And that's kind of the same thing. Like we want to see the turn. And like kind of like the jump turn type play, and then the backhand and the run through really tells you a ton as well about body control and athlete and how they approach the baseball. So no, I think you're spot on with all that stuff, and it does give you a level of feel on the guy, and to hear that about Colton Carley, like that's a guy I'm going to be locked in on moving forward. That to me just tells me, hey, this guy's got feel for the infield. He's probably got a future on the dirt.
Yeah, and Tyler, I'm just gonna stick on him because I had him mentioned down in my data darling because his fastball is up to 90 on the mound. Same thing. Like it's good to know he's an athlete up the middle. On the mound is like you said, he's 5'9", 169. It's like a stronger, more compact frame, but the athleticism moved to the mound as well. It's loose. It's like really quick arm. 88 to 89, touch 90 with the fastball, and then his curveball was like 72 to 75, and he kind of found it in the lower part of the zone, in and around the zone. I wouldn't say it was consistent strikes, but the changeup was mid 70s, had some sinking action. So yeah, just really interesting uncommitted arm there. And then, you liked him on the infield too, which is good.
I mean, that's huge for just Providence in general, because they graduated a ton of seniors last year. They're going to be looking for guys to help out, probably all over the place, like two-way guys.
Well, especially on the mound, Drew. Like, and I know they're probably going to be younger there this year, but got to be exciting. The fact that, got this 27 coming up who's touching 90, like, great problem to have for Coach Smith over there because, I mean, their rotation is going to be really good this year. I know we'll eventually get there at a later episode, but yeah, to your point.
Yep. And guys that are certainly like ready to step in for sure, but maybe just don't have those innings and experience under their belt. So should be an interesting year for Pravi. But yeah, that's one that we talk about. Like, man, guys that have emerged this winter at preseason IDs, like that's exactly what we're talking about. A guy like Colton Carley.
Then Drew, it looks like you got a data darling you want to touch on out of St. Charles
Sure,
North
yeah.
here?
If you wanna go down there, we definitely can. At Lockport, we got a lot of things going on with the number of players that we have kind of rolling through that event. So I'm bouncing around, watching as much as I can, watching some hitting fields, some defense. One bat that I did get an eye on that caught my eye was left-handed hitter Caden Gabriel at St. Charles North. He's a 2028, compact, strong frame, and it was just definitely one of the louder bats of the day. Certainly, as far as what my eyes saw, but like it was multiple triple-digit exit velocities off the bat. It was extremely like big, loud, strong power to the pull side. Now it was like very pull heavy. It was like I kind of know who I am. I've got power. I'm gonna show it off type of swing. Those guys are dangerous. Like, don't miss a fastball to them in the zone or they're going to make you pay. That's the kind of vibe I got from Caden. Had a 403 max distance, led the event. So, data darling wise, like he's at the top of a lot of leaderboards there when it comes to the BP. Ran a 7.2060, and he's just a bat that He's a 2028 left-handed hitter with that kind of power. Like, let's go see what that looks like in a game. Who knows at St. Charles North if he'll even get a chance to play varsity this year. Like they're always super deep. It's hard for underclassmen to play there, but if we don't see him this spring, like we'll be locked in on him hopefully this summer at one of our events.
Yeah, and then we can move over to upside underclassmen. Hammy, you were kind of talking about just how you might be more excited for the underclass at this year's All-State. And like to me, like I know I've said it before, but one of the best part about our preseason ID events are like these freshmen and these sophomores that kind of come out of nowhere that, maybe we've never seen before, or guys have just gotten way better since we last saw them, maybe at like a Rising Star event or something. But infielder Antonio Britton, 2029 out of Homewood Flossmoor, another school we've seen a bunch of this winter, seen a lot of their guys in a school I think we're all really high on entering the spring. But this is a freshman, had a huge overall day. Gab, I know you're going to touch on his pitching here in a second, but what I saw offensively, he's a right-handed hitter. It's an athletic look in the box. He's got a flatter swing. And he topped out at 90 off the bat, but I just kind of liked it. It was simple, line drive approach, not trying to, overswing or anything like that. And then defensively, like I felt like he had quality and like advanced actions for his age up the middle. He was also 83 across, so like those types of things I know we've said before, like those tend to get better with age. And he also ran a 70160, which is another thing that tends to get better as these kids get older. So really liked what I saw offensively and defensively, but Gavin, I know he threw the ball really well for you as well.
Yeah, it's kind of the same look. Not a ton of effort. Athletic kid, moved well down the mound. Minimal effort with the arm. It has some quickness out front, up to 83. The off speed is still kind of developing, but he's 2029. You have a ton of time for that to develop. So really the most important thing is just the way that he moves at this age and his arm action, and I liked it. But my upside underclassman is right-handed pitcher Sully Rosner from Bennett Academy. He's a 2029. Athletic, upside frame at 6 foot, 152 pounds, and it's a baby face. He's has a ton of physical development still to come, and he was athletic, clean on the mound. The fastball came out really good. I think that was what really impressed me the most, was how that fastball came out. It was 80 to 81, touched 82. The off speed, his curveball, it had good shape, but didn't throw it super hard. You could tell maybe a little taking off the arm speed a little bit with the curveball and the changeup, but still they had good shape. And again, talking about Britton there before, the off speed as he continues to develop, he's only a 2029. As they develop, as they get more physical, and it's only going to get better. So really like Sully, the way that he moved and the fastball.
Gavin, I couldn't agree more. I saw some of his bullpen, and what I love about Sully is he comes from an athletic family. Dad played at UIC. Both of his older sisters are Division I softball commits. You mentioned it, Sully's nowhere near where he's going to be physically someday. And then you look back, he's been coming to events now since 2024. In 2024, he was 67 miles an hour. In 2025, he was 73.9. In 2026, he's 81.9. These are the guys that we're looking for. These are the guys that continue to get better, and by the time they're 16, 18 years old, 21 years old, that velo is just on a steady incline, and that's what it's all about, especially when you look at the way the arm and the body works. It's loose, it comes out clean, and there's so much more to come in there. That was by far our best look at Sully, and really excited to see what his future holds.
Drew, you speak of the athletic family and his dad and his sisters, but one of his cousins is Peter Pignatello, and then I don't know what side it is, but his also related to Colin Schweigen, and just a lot of athletes in that family, so there's a lot of good bloodlines there too.
No, that's a good call out. I mean, Colin's one of our favorites. Football, QB1, had potential to play football in college, probably maybe leaning more towards the baseball side now. We'll see, but he was a future gamer for us as a two-way guy. I think there's so much more to come with Colin's game too, especially on the mound. And bloodlines all over the place with that family. So definitely going to keep an eye on Sully.
I mean, the Pignatello thing, you just kind of broke some news to me. I hadn't heard that before, but I think the cool angle there is, right, Peter's a talented 2028 also at Bennett, so have some family ties on the field here for the next few years. I think that's a really cool angle there.
And I think Bennett in general, like coming off a state finals appearance with how many young guys they have coming through, they're going to be a school to watch here to see. I mean, first off, hey, how will they bounce back after last year? Like I think in the regular season they were just a couple games under or over 500 and made a nice little run there towards state. But yeah, plenty of guys to go follow. I'm sure we'll be out at Bennett. And once again, we'll see who, in those 28s, like who will even crack the varsity lineup. Like they may have to wait a year or two. But either way, exciting future there coming out of Bennett. There were just a couple things I wanted to mention. We've talked a lot about Lincoln Way East and just, for a public school, how much talent keeps rolling through those doors. But two 2028s that emerged at Lockport were Matthew Ritter and Malcolm Donaldson. Donaldson ran a 6.52. Like he led the event in 60 and took a really interesting round of BP. Like he's got athletic, twitchy hands, was 82 from the outfield, 90 peak exit velocity. Like just without a doubt, when you run like that and take a quality, clean looking swing with some twitch, like we're going to be following you. So Donaldson got on our radar. And then at the same time, Matthew Ritter, a 2028, he's a left-handed hitter. And we got to figure out exactly what the bloodlines are there with him and Ryan Ritter, who came through Lincoln Way East a few years back, now in the big leagues with the Rockies. But Ritter ran a 7.20 flat path, loose hands, like athletic, looks right, and then also showed advanced actions in the outfield and was 87. So Ryan was a right shortstop, long levered guy. Matthew, left-handed hitter, plays the outfield, so a little different profile there, but gotta see what's going on there with the bloodlines. And just two guys from Lincoln Way East, they just continue to come out of the woodworks over there. Two really interesting guys to follow. And then Rock Island Alleman had Everett Smith and Jackson Smith come all the way over there from the Quad Cities, and huge shout out for to them for making the trek over. But Everett Smith was a 2029, Jackson Smith was a 2028. Jackson Smith showed like a lot of two-way potential. I saw his BP, he averaged 91.3 off the bat during BP, and like when you talk about projectable swings, like with more to come, I think Jackson just checks so many boxes. Like it was loose. There's all kinds of extension through contact. I loved the look of it. It's a gap-to-gap lifted approach, but without like trying to, sell out for exit velo or for lift. Tyler, you kind of mentioned that earlier. Like it's the way it should look. So just really two guys that I'm going to keep an eye on from Alleman. And somewhat surprising to see like them coming over from the Quad Cities, especially I know we ran the Peoria event. So really cool to see that. And the Smiths from Alleman will be two follows moving forward, two underclass follows for me.
Drew, I'm not going to speak on him during this podcast, but I just wanted to, he'll be in the quick hits. Another arm from Alleman, Karsten Caruthers. He was at the Peoria Preseason ID at 2027. I thought it was a really polished pen. So nice. Just to add there, another arm for Alleman.
To piggyback off that, I think we're going to have a good amount of names in that quick hit stock, Gavin, like you said. But I didn't see any of the arms, unfortunately. But there is one arm we were kind of chatting about offline before we hopped on here. And Drew, I think you have more history on this guy with just kind of his pedigree and everything. But looking at his numbers and just the overall notes we had on him, like seemed like Ian Crabb, right-hander out of Harrisburg, an uncommitted 2027, had a great day. Like just off like the top of my head, like fastball was up to 87, 71% strikes. He averaged almost 2,500 RPMs on the fastball as well. Just high feel throughout his pen. Seemed like he was able to throw all three pitches for strikes. His curveball was 76 to 77, showing sharp depth, thrown with intent, and then his changeup was firm at 80 to 81. And he also threw that pitch for 60% strikes. So Drew, I know you got a little bit more background on him, but feel free to get in there.
No, I love it. I love the call out. You want to talk about guys coming over from Alleman. Like, he's coming up from Harrisburg. So huge shout out there, Ian, for coming up and, like, really making a name for yourself. We saw you last summer down at the Southern Illinois Summer ID, where you showed very similar, like, intriguing stuff, but, like, peaked at 2,600. RPM on the fastball, and what the number that you can see it when you're watching his bullpen. Like I got my eyes on his bullpen. He averaged 20 inches of IVB. So like that thing is carrying, it's playing really true, and then it's kind of an over the top arm slot where his breaking ball plays really well off the fastball. It's a 12-6 downer, good spin to it. Like he's athletic. His brother Isaac came through a couple years ago, ended up pitching at Louisiana Tech, like Division I arm. He was also a two-way guy in high school, and the arm ended up kind of, I don't know the right way, but like ended up being maybe his best tool. So he ended up on the mound, and we'll see with Ian. Like he's a two-way guy, but man, I really like the arm, and he's got a lot of he's checking a lot of boxes there that make it very hard for me not to believe that he's going to be an impact arm at the next level. And then Pete, I know one guy we've talked about a little bit about from Downers Grove, but Oliver Gibson. You want to talk about data darlings? Like he's from Downers Grove North. He's a 2027. He's got a compact 5'7", 173-pound frame, but like the loudest BP of the event when you just look at the numbers. Like it peaked at 106.8 off the bat with multiple 100+ mile an hour exit velocities throughout his round. Big bat speed averaging 73 miles an hour. But then the number that like really, really took me back was he ran a 6.7 60. So when you factor in that speed with power, like those are two of the biggest tools and most important tools these days when you're looking at prospects is, hey, how do you run and do you have power? So Oliver, like that's a guy, depending on what his role is this spring for Downers Grove North, like we're going to want to see him take some live in-game at-bats and see what kind of player he is on the field.
All right, and then on the same day, you guys are over at Lockport. I myself was at Chicago at the Pullman Center running the boys through that one. And that one, I mean, it's one of the newer events, I would say, on our annual calendar, but it's been great year after year. It was a fun day. I'll start off with my top overall prospect. It's going to be Dominic Maloney from Loyola. So a little background on him. He's a quarterback, and they just won state. So, I mean, clearly he's an athlete. 8A state champs, by the way, and they've long been a powerhouse with football. And then just looking at the Twitter, seems like a great athlete. Like his profile picture is him doing the Jordan Caleb Williams jump throw. So clearly the kid's got some athleticism in there. And I mean, it really translates to the mound. He was 88 to 92 with the fastball. So I mean, not surprised that he's got arm strength. He's a quarterback at a great school. And not only was it 88 to 92, but it had over 18 inches of IVB at its peak, which is kind of, that's getting up there, especially being 92. And then he showed a firm curveball at 76 to 78 miles an hour, and then kind of a shorter, similar shape to the slider, maybe a little more sweepy, but kind of a bullet shape in the same velo range, which to see a kid throw a breaking ball that hard, that's usually an indicator that he's going to throw harder. If he can spin it and throw it firm, like you got arm speed on it, like he's going to continue to throw harder. So he was Nick DiBenedetto's favorite arm from the day. I was over at hitting basically the whole day, and my favorite underclassman that I saw was Nolan Hecht. I hope I'm not mispronouncing that, Nolan, but Nolan Hecht maybe. DePaul College Prep 2028. So he was up to 104 for the max EV, so big boy numbers. Average 91. There's a ton of power upside in that frame. He's about 6'2", 180, plenty more strength to come. And I was a big fan of the easy, like, long levered swing with length through the zone. Like, it was easy jump off the barrel. He doesn't take a ton of effort to get into that power. But yeah, it's longer, it's flat through the zone. He's going to be one that we definitely need to cross-check this spring in game to see how that plays. And then he was up to 85 from the outfield as well. So there's some tools to like there. And then a big takeaway I had from the day was a couple of freshmen from Homewood Flossmoor that I liked. Delval DeSavio III, and then Mateo Blakes. Just a couple bats that I liked. Delval, it was a whipping, balanced swing with upside. Just a kid to keep watching as we, as he goes through the ranks, as he continues to fill into his body. And then same with Mateo. Was a fan of just like a hitterish look. He's got loose wrists that always stands out, especially at the young age. It's flat, it's clean, and there's definitely more strength coming there. So yeah, that was one of my big takeaways. And just an overall great day. Saw a lot of good players and excited to follow them throughout the spring here.
Shout out to HF. A lot of their guys have come out to preseason ID events and like not just come out, but shown well and earned, a mention, whether it's on our podcast or in our quick hits. And I would just make sure that you guys, Yeah, we're talking about some guys on the podcast, but there's plenty that we, don't get to that we'll talk on in quick hits or when we roll out the analysis of the event. So just make sure you keep peeking at our actual written articles. Only get into so much here on the podcast. But yeah, HF, seen a lot of their guys, man. They've got, a bright spring coming up. I just think of like Cormac Saunders, saw him at the unsigned senior. There's plenty of others to name, but he was one that really stood out to us as kind of being a stud. And they've got plenty of young guys coming through as well, whether it's Brock Hamilton. I could go, the list kind of goes on and on. But yeah, thanks, Pete. And thanks for running that Chicago event. Because it has been kind of a mainstay now for the last handful of years over there at the Pullman Center, and always get a breakout candidate. And I'm really, really curious to see Dominic Maloney, because everything you kind of mentioned there with the multi-sport athlete, the QB1, like those, that's what you're looking for. And then he's clearly got present arm strength up to 92, can spin it. So it's another name that just firmly got on our radar here after a preseason ID event. It doesn't matter where we see you. The biggest thing is that we see you.
Well, and speaking of HF, I think this week's coach guest interview is going to be Coach Rodgers, the head coach at Homewood Flossmoor. So just some more HF love there. So keep an eye out for the end of the episode where he will be on. But talking about the Peoria Preseason ID now, last Wednesday, it was a week ago from when this episode comes out. Tyler, who was your top arm from the day?
Yeah, for me, this was kind of a no-brainer after just looking through all my notes and our grades. And it's Hunter Long, right-handed arm, out of Limestone, a 2027 uncommitted. First thing that's going to pop off the page is this kid's frame. He's 6'7", 187 pounds. But watching his pen, I got starter vibes watching it. He's got 3 pitches that he's got feel for, can throw all 3 for strikes. And the way he moves down the mound, like I think more's to come with this kid, especially like in the velocity department. Like it's a true sinker, and he's like already like identified that, like he's not one of these kids. It's like, hey, I got like a 4-seam fastball, like he's like, no, I throw a sinker, which I feel like it's uncommon for that age. But anyway, his sinker's 81 to 84. It's got that hard action to it. And he was consistently throwing that thing at the bottom of the zone, like pounding it right at the knees. Playing off that was like a real changeup at 74 to 76. Had firm downer action. It averaged 0.9 inches IVB, which is pretty absurd. And just overall advanced feel, which to me like fires me up. The changeup was my pitch in college, so like to see high schoolers, which every arm I'm going to touch on, I believe, had like a good changeup at this event, Gavin. So I don't know what you guys are doing out there in Central Illinois, but changeups are certainly making a comeback. But rounding out Long's mix was a curveball at 69 to 73. Had firm action to it. He could throw that for strikes. Like I think the next step for him with that pitch is just trying to, maybe find a little bit more velocity with the breaking ball. But regardless, like this is a guy that I think a lot of schools in the area are going to be keeping tabs on.
Yeah, well, my favorite arm, sticking on that, a little bit different than your guy. You're talking a big 6'7", long levered kid. I'm talking more compact frame, but he's an athlete, and right-handed pitcher Dean Marchand from Dunlap 2028. A kid I loved at this event last year on the mound. The velo continued to tick up at this event. But what I like the most about him is just the mover. It's super loose, super athletic, and he's quick down the mound. And it was a pretty polished pin. His fastball was 82 to 84. He touched an 85 on his last fastball. Has some arm side action at times, and then he throws both a curveball and a slider. And again, like I mentioned earlier at the Lockport event, with Marchand, his curveball and slider have different shapes, which is good. His curveball's a little more like 11.5, while his slider's kind of 10.4, kind of a sweeper. And then he throws his changeup with intent, keeps that arm speed, that fastball arm speed with some fade. But again, with Marchand, I just really like the way that he moves. It's really, really, really loose, and it's easy, and it's athletic. So Dean Marchand, Dunlap, 2028.
We can hop into upside arms here. For me, it's right-handed arm Ty Bachman out of Normal West of 2028. Listen, Normal West already has a guy like Chase Reinhardt over there. I'll be curious to see what type of innings Bachman gets this spring after seeing how well he threw last Wednesday. Like 6'3", 193, again, another long levered frame. A guy that, Hammond, I want to say he was one of your preseason ID picks to click, a few episodes ago. I honestly loved it on the mound. Like another guy, 3 pitches for strikes, giving me that starter profile. Controlled on the mound. Like there's like some slight intent to the finish, but it's not like head whackish. Like he's not trying to put everything he's got into every single throw. His fastball was 83 to 84, comes out really good, and like it flashes carry. Like Drew was talking about some carry fastballs earlier. Like he topped out at 20.3 inches of IVB, and then he's got above average spin. He was averaging over 2,300 RPMs on the fastball. His slider was 70 to 71. It was tight. Lateral action, above average spin again on that pitch. He averaged 24.19 RPMs on that. And he was throwing that slider for 80% strikes, which very impressive for a young guy. And then I know I teased it earlier, but a changeup again, 72 to 73 downer action. He was averaging 3.6 inches of IVB, an advanced feel for it. Like I think that's his best secondary right now. But I think the slider, the shape of the slider to me, flashed that it could be, a plus pitch, as he gets older. So, just a guy after last Wednesday I was kind of buzzing about.
Yeah, and my upside arm from this is a 2029 from Mount Zion. He's a right-handed pitcher, Grayson Buckley. Strong-bodied frame. He's 6'3", 200 pounds, really physically advanced for a freshman in high school right now. And the thing with him, on the mound, it's just very simple. He repeats, and there's not a ton of effort. His fastball is up to 82, and he had arm side run. Showed a slider with a 11.5 shape, and the average IVB was negative 9.9 inches, and then the average horizontal movement was negative 15.6 inches. So pretty good movement on that pitch, and then he threw a changeup as well. Had some fade, and he was working low with it. But, again, I just really like the upside, the frame, and there's, I think, a ton more still to come from Grayson. So Grayson Buckley, 2029 from Mount Zion.
Yeah, and then this next topic we're going to get into is a loudest pen, and I'm going to go with right-handed arm Camden Visconti, another uncommitted 2027, this time out of Washington. Workhorse frame, 6'4", 220. His fastball was 85 to 88 this night. He touched an 89. And his very first pitch, it was like one of those where you're like, whoa, like, okay, like, wow. Has some explosion out of the hand. The curveball, 71 to 72, kind of that top to bottom shape. He had feel for it. In the zone, changeup, again, 73, 75, but that one had fade as well. Like, usually, I feel like sometimes you get those guys that have the high velo with the fastball, and maybe the secondaries are a ways behind. And with Camden, like, I felt like he had pretty good feel for both secondary pitches. So a guy I've got my eye on heading into the spring, but looks like he might have swung it well for you, Hammett.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought him up because he was in the mix as someone to talk about just with one of the louder rounds of the day. From an exit velo standpoint, I mean, yeah, he was up to 101.3 for the peak EV, which was one of the top of the day, and he averaged 95. I mean, it's one thing to do it, once or twice throughout a round, and you catch a barrel and you get one really good, but to do it on average like that, and average, show barrel feel and control of the barrel where you're consistently getting good swings off, and people could say it's BP. I mean, our hack attack was. It was not every pitch down the middle that day. So he was having to cover the plate a little bit and still was on the barrel, peaking at 377. So good two-way showing from him. Definitely one of the better ones of the day, if not the best two-way showing.
Yeah, and mine was left-handed pitcher Carson Mitchell, a 2027 from Morton. Dane Poe was with me during this, and he comes up to me. He's like, hey, that's my guy right there. He saw him last spring and really liked him for Morton. But he's an uncommitted arm. Stronger athletic frame, a little more compact, but simple mover. It's quick arm out front again, but the fastball is up to 85 with arm side action, and he looks like a guy to me that is probably just a gamer. His slider, his changeup, both look like pretty good pitches. Shorter action on the slider, 10-4 shape, but it looks like he probably is a guy that can just get outs in game. So a guy for sure he's uncommitted to go check on. And then just one more arm I wanted to mention, not really here in any section, but right-handed pitcher Reed Martin, a 2028 from Washington. He's a tall, wiry upside frame at 6'4", 170, and it's just a simple mover again. Sat low 80s with the fastball, came out clean, arm side action, and he threw both the curveball and a slider. The curveball was more 12-6, while the slider was more 10-4 with sweeping shape, but just a guy to keep an eye on here moving forward. Sophomore there for Washington.
If you guys are good, I'll jump into my guys. I was on hitting all day, so I didn't see any arms. But my first topic I'll get into is upside sleeper. Now, I want to go with Jake Weeks for this one. He was one that we put in the preseason ID, like picks to click. The swing and the profile from Georgia, from Lake Point, looked really good. So we were excited to see him in person. And it was exactly what I was hoping for. It was a really clean athletic swing. And you could expect it to get stronger. Like the exit velo wasn't jumping off the page. And that's like what we tell guys, right? It's like, show us the type of player that you are. Like, you don't need to put up a crazy exit velo for me to like you. Like, you're going to get stronger, right? Show us how you hit. And he was like that fluid, handsy, kind of gap to gap type kid, where he wasn't trying to just, hat flying off, going pull side, trying to put up a big number. Like, there's a lot of different players out there, and there's a lot of different good types of players, right? You don't need to just be one cookie cutter type kid. And he kind of falls into that category for me. Just one to dream on, like the way it works, and good bloodlines there with Davis too, now at Michigan State. Good two-way guy, actually. He can pitch it, and he was a really interesting shortstop with the bat.
Let's stick on upside sleepers, Pete. I'm going to go with Lavin Toll, left-handed pitcher, outfielder from O'Fallon, 2028. First thing I noticed is just like the frame. It's athletic, high-waisted. Looks like he's going to continue to add quality strength. Really looks the part. Like the first thing he did at Peoria was defense. Love the way he kind of floats around, plays through the baseball, and it's a really loose arm. He topped at 85 from the outfield. Actually, take that back. He topped at 86 from the outfield. He ran a 7.1 360. And then left-handed hitter, kind of sprayed around, a little lifted approach, 92-mile-an-hour exit velocity. But then I really like the way the arm works on the mound as well. Like, I think there's way more velo to come. It played in the low 80s. But just an underclassman to know from Southern Illinois, O'Fallon, 2028, Lavin Toll. A lot of upside through, like, all parts of his game.
That's a good shout there, because he was one that, we were seeing video of just on X, and we were excited to get him in person. And it definitely, it matched what we were seeing, which was always good. And then I'll jump into Data Darling here with Colin Crumrine from Normal Community, 2028, so an underclassman. But, I mean, he was the loudest round of the day, easily. Just visually, the way it sounded and what the TrackMan said. Because not always do those things align. So it was really, made a lot of sense that it actually did, looking back at it. But he peaked at 101.5 and an average 98. I mean, 98's a good peak EV. So to average it is pretty nuts. And he's only a 2028. So, and there's definitely some strength still to come in that frame. So it is not done. He is not going to slow down. But 388 max distance as well, and then he ran a 718, which is more than serviceable for especially that type of power. So, just a big fan of him and the round that he took. Just another bat to add to Community's slew that they have, and who knows if he'll actually get on varsity this year. They're pretty loaded, but to have him coming through is a good luxury to have. But a couple of just names that I want to mention. I really like Bradley Jones. Muhammad Seymour, 2028, so another underclassman. He's one that we saw at the Rock a ton, and was a performer. Like, he was, there's numerous tweets in his profile from us. Like, he was an in-game standout to our staff. So to see him in showcase now, he's got tools that are measurable that you can see in scout, and then he's also a gamer. So, I mean, I like the swing. It's short and uphill, so I mean, he's trying to lift the baseball, but he's strong enough to do it. He was up to 98 for the EV. He can match plane. Like, he was covering the zone, covering the top of the zone with ease. So just one to mention there that I really liked. And then Drew, you had your eyes on one of the other louder rounds of the day, so go ahead there.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Colin Crumrine. I just wanted, averaging 98 off the bat as a 2028 that's That's pretty advanced. So like those when you check a box like that, like that's an outlier. Like we're gonna have to follow you. But yeah, Mason Phillips from Metamora 2027. Like I think the first thing to talk about is just he's a physical specimen at 6'3", 245 pounds. A football player. You go to his X and check out like some of his football highlights. Looks like he could be a high follow defensive lineman type. I saw him chasing down some quarterbacks. Which is always good to see a guy built like that can move. But it's just super loud. 71.8 mile per hour average bat speed, 23 mile per hour average hand speed, which was like kind of top of the scales when you look at our performance tiers and profiles and at the event. And then he averaged 90 off the bat during his BP. He peaked at 100. But just one of those guys that like you just don't make 2027s look like that. Really makes the bat look small. Guy from Central Illinois. We're gonna follow. Who knows where his future will be, whether it's on the baseball field, football field. But he's a physical specimen, one to watch out of Metamora.
100%. One of the scariest rounds of the day. I would have not wanted to be behind that L screen feeding him, because that very well could have broken. But one more guy to mention for me, another underclassman. There was a lot of good 28s from the day, but Caleb Zellers from Hayworth made the trip over. Now, he was probably, there was a ton of loud rounds, like we've already talked about, but maybe my favorite of the day, just polish-wise, was from him. Left-handed hitter, just consistent backspin up the middle with ease, and there was some loudness to it. It was 98 miles an hour. Just one of the last hitters to go, so a nice way to end the day, but it was really clean, really simple and strong and balanced, which is important too. I know it's BP, but still, just to show the feel to hit, stood out to me. One to follow for sure.
Well, and I think what you mentioned there is something we're all looking for. Like, yeah, we run these showcases and we're getting, we're collecting a ton of data and, measurables and athletic testing, but like we're looking at the way the swing works because that's an indicator of how that's going to play in game. So the balance, the rhythm, the fluidity, the ease, the approach, like those are all huge, huge indicators. I'm like, okay, this 98 mile per hour exit velocity versus somebody else's. It's how do you get to that exit velocity? What kind of, what kind of swing is it? How does the body flow? How does it work? How stiff it is? Is it? How efforty is it?
All right, now let's get into our interview with Homewood Flossmoor head baseball coach Marcus Rodgers.
One thing we were chatting on is the Shy Robinson and Dylan Head camp that they run, and they're like two, really high-profile prospects that have come out of HF, but like it's been like that for a long time. Like I look back, 5-10 years ago, you could talk about Tyler Schlafer, you could talk about Jacob Schroeder.
You get Jacob on staff this year.
There you go. Like he was a freak as far as tools are concerned. Like 6'4", stud-looking frame. He had a cannon on him for an arm. He had a bunch of home runs at Illinois. Yeah. And then Isaiah Coupe, like a former future gamer that went to Ohio State. Now he's pitching pro ball. Like the shortage of talent has never been a problem at HF. Right. And like so, Dylan and Shy. Like you were just kind of breaking it down, but feel free to get into more depth. So every year they're going to start doing a camp.
We'll do a camp every single year for those guys.
You just want to hold that.
For those guys. We'll do a camp every year for those guys. They're big community guys. They want to do as much as they can for the youth. And it's tremendous. Like this year we had over 150 kids at camp.
That is awesome.
And they're there, they're giving out free gifts. They have a hustle award that they give out. I think it's tremendous. It's a testament of just who they are as people, but also like the community.
I was going to say the love for the community and the love for their high school to want to do that and basically say, hey, this is something we want to do every year. And Dylan was one of the most, he was one of my favorite guys to scout. Because we had him when he was in 8th grade. We were following him. He came down to our junior future games in Atlanta, Georgia, and it was him and Frederick Ragsdale in the outfield, and no ball fell in the outfield. Like they were just roaming that thing like college guys back then. But then I remember like senior year going and watching Dylan and the just amount of scouts that were there to watch him. and he had me questioning my stopwatch with how fast he would get down the line. Swinging the bat from the left side, he would be running like a sub-4 down the line. It was just some of the craziest athleticism that I've seen, and super happy for him, and can't wait to see him kind of flourish here in this pro ball once he gets some more seasons under his belt. But Shai was the same way. Like, I remember watching him as a young age, just a natural shortstop with all kinds of action. He made everything look easy. So I just wanted to shout those guys out. But you've been working hard, just from our conversations with, bringing pride into HF and how you're looking to just kind of like really elevate what you guys do at HF. You're talking about the facilities, like not only what's been going on at the baseball field, because in the last 5 years you got brand new turf and all that?
New turf. So this is my third year. This will be my third year here at HF, but we have some of the best facilities in the state. Our indoor, we have 50 yards of turf with cages. We have 5 cages indoor, state-of-the-art weight room, turf and field. We have everything we need to help take the program to the next level.
So with that, like you mentioned, the turf indoors and stuff, and I immediately think to, okay, once tryouts start, you're able to probably do everything in there? Is that where all your tryouts are?
Depending on the weather. So we don't when the season starts,
you're
we have
trying to get outside.
Yeah. So,
okay.
But we can hold a full trial. The first 2 years, we've held full trials.
That's incredible.
Indoor,
Talk about that's a huge advantage. I just think back to when I was in high school, and like the live pitcher hitter you're trying to do, and you're in a cage and you're cramped. You're probably able to do live pitcher hitter with some infield out there. You basically do whatever you want.
We can. I mean, we can almost do anything. Yeah. We can almost do anything, and on rain. I remember in high school, rain day, you just go to the weight room.
Exactly. Or the classroom and do like bunt defenses or something like that. Yeah.
Now we have the opportunity where if it rains, we can go inside. We can go inside. We can still get really good work in. If the outfield is soaked, we turn on we use our dented balls and we can take BP. So it's definitely a huge advantage for us, and we try to take advantage of it whenever we can.
I love that. That's a huge developmental piece that a lot of these high schools just don't have the ability to have. At these public schools that you're at. That speaks to me, the HF community investing in athletics, which is really cool to see. And Pete, I don't know if you have anything you want to add, but
Yeah. No, Coach, it's been great to hear what you've had to say, but do you have any, values that you try to instill in your players, or, preparing them for, not just baseball, but life in general?
So for us, we have the best kids, right? I believe our team GPA is 3.2. We have the number 2 student in the class. We have a kid going to Northwestern. We tell our kids, if you can get a 3.5 and you can do well on the ACT, there's a place for you to go to school almost free. Now, you may not be able to play baseball too, and it may not be your dream school, but we preach education. That is first and foremost the biggest thing, and the guys will tell you, we run for grades, so you have to take care of your stuff in the classroom. No one wants me to get an email about what happened in class because they know it's a 2-hour run. You're running the entire practice. No, I don't want to hear your side. I don't want to hear any of that. If I get an email about you acting up in class, because as you know, at all schools, your athletes are your leaders. If you can't go and be a good student, which is your job, right? How am I going to expect for you to come out here and ball out?
Trust you on the field.
I can't trust you. So our biggest thing is take care of the classroom. We take care of the classroom, everything else kind of falls in place. And another thing, you have to do the little things right. We're huge on catch play. I heard
they were saying one of the Jay Johnson was talking about catch play in there, or Dan McDonald about how important that is.
Catch play is it's a direct reflection of how you play defense. If you can't play catch, you cannot pick the ball up. consistently at the rate you need to be a successful team. So classroom, doing the little things, and then just going out there and compete. Like our summer shirts have grit on the back of it. Like we have to go and take the games. Like we play in one of the toughest conferences in the state. I pull up stats. I think last year we played in over 15 1 to 2 run ball games. And you have to go in. You got to be ready to get punched in the face and be able to punch back. I mean, that's just exactly how a baseball game goes. It's, okay, good game. We're going back and forth, back and forth. Even if you're scoring runs, you're going back and forth. No one's going to give up. No one's going to quit. We have to show that amount of toughness to help us prevail. Luckily this year, we're returning everything but 5 innings.
Oh, okay.
On the mound. So
nice.
Now we lost some stuff offensively, but we're returning all of our innings on the mound, pretty much, essentially. So we're very, very, very excited about that.
I love to hear you talk just about getting punched in the face and having to bounce back and playing those close games, because that's, it's an analogy for life. People talk about that, but not everything's going to be perfect, and you got to be able to just roll with the punches and continue to fight and grit like you're talking about. And then the classroom thing, I think that gets overlooked maybe at the high school level, but that's what prepares these guys for college.
Absolutely.
Because it's only going to get harder when you get to college. You're only going to have to be more independent, doing things on your own and taking care of your business off the field, and it really does lend itself to success on the field. So you're giving these guys the right message. And getting these guys, because it's all about preparing them for the next level, like you're talking about. Get their education, but then, hey, how can you not only get your education, but be a successful student athlete maybe at the same time if their talents, lead them to play sports in college. So I love that. And you kind of hit on it there, getting into this next year, this 2026 spring season. We were talking a little bit off air, but you got a lot of solid pieces, on the roster. Led by Henry Humes.
Right.
He's a 2026 really talented arm going to Northwestern. He's 6'5", really loose. We really like him as a staff. But we could talk about Henry. He's already committed.
Right.
Feel free to talk about him. But you've got some other guys as well that are ready to maybe take that next step, or you'll need them to if you guys want to have the year you want to have.
Absolutely. So, of course, we have Henry Humes. We also have a kid by the name of Cormac Saunders, number 2 in the class academically.
Shout out Cormac. That's some impressive stuff right there.
Yeah, number 2 in the class. But when he gets on that mound, he's a little bulldog. He doesn't care who you are. He don't care what your PBR report says.
I love that.
He's going to attack you.
Yeah.
And if you beat him, he'll be the first one to come back and say, look, I got beat here, and this is what I need to do next time. He is the professor, right? He is the professor. Love him to death. He'll start for us. He'll close a lot of games for us as well.
Okay.
I love him. He doesn't love it as much, but I love him on the back end of games where he can go max effort for 2 innings. I like my chances.
Well, and it speaks to him that he'll be able to take on different roles throughout the spring. A lot of guys, hey, I have to be a starter because I need to go through my routine and do this. For him to do what he did last year, you said you moved him to the closer role and he threw maybe 18 straight shots.
I think it was 18
scoreless appearances, which to me, that's absurd. To not have one outing where maybe, a defensive miscue or whatever. He's clearly pitching through a lot of stuff like that.
Absolutely. So we have him, and then we go with Antonio Brown. Antonio's been up to 92 last year. No hitter, Hinsdale Central team. He beat the Lincoln Way West when they were number 1 in the state. Just consistency with him. I mean, he can beat anybody. And we're gonna count on him to do it this year as well. So that kind of rounds up our big 3 as far as on the mound. We have a transfer in Mikey Watson, who will play the middle of the field for us. We're returning our junior shortstop Ashton Jones, the little silent assassin is what I call him. And then we had a big fella. So we'll have Brock.
Yeah, you were talking about Brock Hamilton a little bit earlier.
Brock very interesting for us. As a sophomore, he'll have the opportunity to play first base and also pitch as well. We have some innings, and I love to get to really those young guys to really just throw them in the fire. Because we can see, like, if you were a little scared, if you were anxious, if you knew that you were going to dominate, right? So you have and you may have all of those emotions in one inning, right? But he's going to be a guy where we're going to just throw him in the fire, because we think that he can do. He's one of the hardest working kids around. His off-season work has been incredible. Like, that's one thing that I can say this year. They've really, really taken their off-season lifting, their off-season training to another level. In the outfield, we'll be pretty fast in the outfield, too. We'll have Jameer Scott, a two-way guy. He'll play left field, maybe a little center. He'll pitch mid-80s. He can spin it a bit. JoJo Hudson will probably start in center field for us. He's a 6'3" runner.
Okay.
Can blaze. And then to round it up, in right field, Evan Bradford, 6'4". He'll throw a little bit for us as well. But the thing about Evan is, I'll tell you a quick story, right? He transferred to us from Mount Carmel. Didn't know a ton about him. Loved, just kind of, when he came, he just kind of fit in, But it wasn't like he just was trying to be another guy, right? We started him on JV last year. We do meetings before, just letting guys know, look, you got to earn everything you get. You start at this, and it's your job. But if you don't perform, of course, we have other guys. In his meeting, he was furious that he wasn't on varsity. And it wasn't disrespectful or anything like that.
He's
and I said, well, big fella, you got to show us. We brought him up in a week because he just like, I am as good as what I think I am, and I'm going to go out and prove it. And last year he did.
Love that.
Just played, not afraid of anything. He knows if he does what he's supposed to do, it doesn't matter who's pitching. Just a testament to the work that he does, too.
Yeah.
He's another kid that just been living in the weight room this offseason. So I'm excited to see what he does as well. So we're trying, we're trying to do the best we can.
That's all you can do, right? That's what we're all trying.
And I'm excited about not only the direction of the program, I'm excited about the kids' willingness to just work. Get out of their comfort zone, want to be coached hard. We tell them all the time, this is where you come in at, this is where you think your max ability is. It's our job as a coaching staff to push you above that. So we're like I said, and I'll say this all the time, we're trying. We don't know what the outcome's going to be, but I like our chances.
Well, I think the baseball players at Homewood, Flossmoor, at HF, they are lucky to have you because you're clearly passionate about it and you know what you're talking about and your track record and your all the baseball you've been around. It's impressive to just listen to you and sit here with you and man, to some college coaches out there, HF has some guys you guys need to know about.
Absolutely.
There's some 2026s you need to come see and some younger guys coming up. He mentioned Brock Hamilton and just in general the efforts and the work that your guys have been putting in and that should give them the confidence to be thrown into the fire. When you actually put the work in, that should instill that confidence. Yeah, you have to go out there and see it come to fruition, but it's one thing if you're not putting that work in the off season and then you're kind of thrown out there. But no, I love it. You guys are going about it the right way. You've got amazing resources there at HF. The baseball field is phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I got to see this football facility, this indoor you're talking about, the 50 yards of turf and what you're able to do in there. But we'll be following you for sure.
We get great support from our administration and our staff, and our community is great. We have no complaints. It is a baseball community. Everyone plays baseball there. They come out to our games. They support us. It's time for us to show our appreciation to not only our staff, our community, our school, because we have everything we need to help take our program to the next level.
Well, that's awesome. We'll be rooting for the Vikings there in 2026, and we'll get out and check you guys out. And Coach, can't thank you enough for joining us. And good luck to you, all right? You're a man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah.
All right, that'll wrap up episode 58 here of the Bullpen. As always, appreciate you guys listening. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us on Apple and Spotify podcasts, and also rate us on Spotify and Apple podcasts.
Definitely rate us, give us a follow. Big weekend coming up. Stay tuned to all of our X accounts, everything, all the content that'll be coming out from the preseason All-State and our final weekend here of the preseason before we move on to the high school season.